So everyone, welcome to the special premiere of Vikramaditya Motwane's Trapped. Yay! Firstly, we really want to thank La Rev Cinemas for coming on board and sharing this beautiful screening space with us. And of course, thank you, Phantom and Vikram. There he is. Thank you for choosing to do the world premiere of this film at the festival last year and for presenting it once again to our film club.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
What a fantastic experience.
Yeah, when we had a really fantastic experience making it.
So, just to begin with, where did the idea germinate and how did it attract you? What attracted?
I think Amit Joshi's in the audience somewhere. There he is.
Woo!
That's the reason.
Yeah,
So this guy wrote me an email. I mean, it was a total cold email. Didn't know me, nothing. I just, he says this is the synopsis of the film, and I read it. I'm like, wow, this is great. So I write back to him and says, where's the screenplay? And he disappears for 2 months. Like, no response. And then one email comes in my inbox after that with this full screenplay. And it's thrilling for a director, right, to kind of like have that kind of material come to you. So I said, okay, this is a film that has to be made. Whether I do it and somebody else does it, I don't know. But then I became greedy and I said, I want to do this film. And spoke to Raj. And just happened. Yeah. So yeah, I guess lesson is to keep reading your emails, please. Just don't ignore them, man.
But going back to it, also a lot of people here want to know more about the process. I'm sure it's been a while. It's long. But what do you remember? Any specific thing about that email? What was there in it that attracted you? And you said, this sounds really interesting. And you're saying there wasn't a screenplay. So
I think just this whole concept of like the jungle being inside the apartment. I thought there was something really nice about that idea, about this guy. One is that, yes, he's stuck without food, without water, but about like you're becoming a caveman today in 2017 inside an apartment, in your own apartment, without any of this kind. I thought just something about that idea I thought was so cool and so amazing that it's almost like, why has nobody done this before? And that was amazing. I just jumped at that. And what we did was after he sent me the screenplay, we kind of like sat and Hardik and he worked together, and we stripped it down. We just basically said, let's take the screenplay, let's just completely strip it down to its bare bones. We literally it eventually became a 35 page screenplay that we took to shoot. And we said that, I wanted to, as long as we had the beats of what was going to happen, a lot of it is improvised, especially all the scenes with Gitanjali are improvised, except for the first scene with the phone conversation, which is the only written scene in terms of dialogue. Everything else was kind of stripped down to its bare bones because we were shooting in sequence, which is such a boon and such a pleasure, because it's just like every day, I think the most important thing in this film is the rhythm of the film. That's what kind of sets everything. So in the writing, in the shooting, in the editing was all about how do we set the rhythm of this film, to have that balance between saying, okay, it's realistic, yet it's moving along, So we knew we could go in every day in the morning, and me and Siddharth, the DOP, and Raj, could kind of like go in, and we know what pace to kind of hit every morning. We didn't have to worry about the fact that, you're jumping forward, 10 days or whatever. So yeah, basically.
yeah, and that's kind of what my next question was, that how much of it, you had a screenplay, you said you pared it down to 35 pages, but then the parts in the house, how much of that was improvised, from the card throwing to the fire to him collecting water, everything else? How much of that was worked on the day, or how much of that did you already have on paper?
So we had a sense of what we wanted to do with, it was all, yes, he throws cards and they land in X places. We had no idea where they were going to land. We just basically went on the terrace and threw a bunch of cards, and luckily they landed on like roofs and, like other roofs, and like, great, this is, The water collection, though, I have to tell Kazvin, who's right there, she production designer of the film. I thought that whole water collection thing was complete. This is her team's idea. Such genius. I was just like, oh my god, when they told me that this is how I was going to collect water, you know, with the, so they planted the boris of canvas of cement ka bori, uske andar matlab the bhusa inside. So that bori on the sticks will collect the water, which will go into the commode, which will then go into under the fridge. I was like, man, that's fucking genius. I don't know how they thought of that. But it was brilliant. I mean, so those ideas kind of like were in pre-production when we were saying, okay, how is he going to collect water? So this is how he's going to collect water. We had a whole 8-minute scene where he actually makes fire, which of course I took out of the film because I felt that it was a bit much, you know. It's like you want him to succeed at some point in time, and the guy is like getting beaten and beaten and beaten at some point in time. You want him to have one little victory. So but I shot this whole scene where he actually makes fire, and we kind of came up with the fact that there was, you know, that metal where you giso like your plates and stuff. So that connected with the battery actually ends up creating fire.
Raj, what was your first reaction when you read the script and?
So we were at a screening, one of the film screening, and I've been after his life since Oran that, you know, I really want to work with you. I'm a big fan of his work, and him, of course. And we met at a screening, and he told me about this idea. So first I was thrilled that finally, you know, he's actually thinking of me for a film, and that too for a film like this, which is such a boon or a platform for any actor to perform. I think I'm a big fan of survival dramas. So when it came to me, I was super excited. First of all, the story, and then him directing it, I thought there can't be anything better than that.
And what was your, I mean, obviously we've heard about the physical preparation that you've done for the part. You know, you were on coffee and carrots. Yeah, but what sort of mental preparation did you feel the part needed, or you know, how did you go about sort of getting into the head of this guy who's accidentally trapped here, and where did it require anything special than, you know, some of the other stuff that you do?
Yeah, it needed a special preparation. Like, luckily we were shooting in sequence, so as an actor, that helped me a lot to connect to his emotional graph every day. And once you don't eat, trust me, everything just comes on its own. You feel frustrated, you feel angry, you feel helpless. And like, I remember during lunch breaks, they all would be enjoying their lunch, this scrumptious lunch, and I would be in my room alone, having a carrot. Because I wanted to be alone. I didn't want to be with too many people while we were shooting. Actually, I wanted to stay in that house for almost 20-25 days, but it was just not possible practically. But then I thought, you know, mentally probably I can be alone and not really interact with too many people while we were making this film. So I think the physical transformation actually helped my mental state.
And just the lack of space, were you at all worried, you know, that you were going to shoot a whole film? What is the final duration of the film now?
It's 102 minutes or something.
102 minutes. So, I mean, just to shoot a feature in that amount of space, that little space, did you, I mean, you and Siddharth or, you know, the whole crew together, what went into sort of shaping that space? And
no, I was damn excited. I was just like, because I was like, wow, this is cool. You one location, and I think the location itself is a bit of a character. And I think there was two ways we could go with this. And so the original idea that Amit wrote was essentially, it was like a building which was slightly on the outskirts, you know. So in a new housing, say like, so we actually found a place, for example, in Pawai, just off the JVLR, you know. So it was a Mada housing colony which had like 10 new buildings, which had just been built, you know, and didn't have an OC as yet. So, which is a different kind of cinematic. It's like one guy in these 10 buildings. So I was almost imagining those long shots where you kind of see these 10 buildings, one guy with one fire over there, and you could see the JVLR, you know, from that place and stuff. And then this location, which is a whole different kind of you know, approach, which was, you know, it's bang in the center of kind of Prabhadevi, Parel, which is like the center of town, the heart of the city. And you look around, there's construction everywhere, and there's buildings even taller than you, and you're stuck there, and you still, you know. I thought that was so ironic, and it really worked for us. So I think cinematically, I wasn't worried so much about the fact that, oh, is it going to get monotonous, or, you know, how are we going to take this shot? I think most of it was, which is where kind of like Raj's casting comes in, is the fact that you need such a strong actor to pull it off, because is not really about the mise en scène. It's not really about the way you're going to take the shot. It's about the guy. The main thing is about as long as you're following his story, and he's working. I wasn't worried about, you know, what the if it's going to get monotonous, anything like that. I wasn't worried about that because I figured that if I'm going to follow this guy and kind of if he's going to play the part, then I'm okay. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, I was so thankful that man,
Likewise, sir.
since Queen, actually, I keep telling him, like, since Queen, when he actually played a part which is so thankless, but turned it into such a personality, you know. And I was like, here's a part which is about a guy who's gonna dumping a girl in the very first scene of the film. It's like, dude, you're an asshole, right? But he makes it into his own. He makes it into such a personality that you really, at the end of it, are kind of like, you hate him, but at the same time you get him, you know. And I thought it takes a special actor to kind of like do that. And I really kind of like have been wanted to work with him for a while. So I think that this was just, you know, a great. And I also, I mean, I know I'm not kind of like, it's not to sort of like diss him or something like that. But I wanted an actor who had vulnerability and who had a sense of like, you're not sure if he's going to succeed or not at the end of it, you know. And I mean, he was perfect for the role.
And yeah, I mean, it's often said that the film is in many ways very claustrophobic, and it's you're after a point you're like, okay, get out of here already. And when he's climbing down, you're like, please don't kill yourself now, please don't kill yourself. It's a very intense experience, and it takes apart, it takes something out of you, and that's us watching while creating it. Did it change you guys in any sort of way? It said that, you know, intense experiences sort of mold you slightly differently. So Raj, did it?
No, I've learned my lesson, is not to lose hope. I think whatever the circumstances are, and don't give up. I think that's what I think I'm going to take from Trapped. And apart from that, just the whole experience of, you know, making this film and going through this process. I've never ever attempted like this in my career for any of my characters. So I think as an actor, I love pushing myself to the extreme, and this film actually gave me that opportunity. People ask me actually, would you like to do another Trap? And I said, yeah, of course, any day. I would love to do Trap 2, Trap 3 whenever we make.
We have a plot for Trap 2 as well.
Wonderful.
It's stuck in the fridge this time with food.
No, it's 2 people. So who's going to eat who eventually?
Wonderful. Ooh. Okay, we'll open up for questions in the audience. Yeah, there's a mic floating around. Yeah.
Hi. First of all, I just want to say I really like the film. I didn't get the chance to see it at MAMI, so I'm glad I got the chance now. So my question is for Mr. Vikramaditya about the pacing of the film. When a film is silent, largely silent, as opposed to having dialogues, it's difficult to come up with the correct pacing for the film. So while shooting, did you, to resolve the pacing issues, to find the right pace, did you, for example, rehearse scenes and time exactly how long it took for the scene to play out? Did you shoot that way, or did you just keep shooting and trust that you would find the right pace and the right tone in the editing room?
Like I said earlier, I think a lot of it is about just following the actor, and it's about sort of like letting him do this stuff. And I think the wonderful thing about the digital medium, and it's the first time I shot a film on digital. I know that he's not a big fan of digital. I mean, my earlier 2 films are both on one was 16, one was 35, and I love the medium. But I think this one was kind of made for the digital medium because you could really let your actor perform and kind of like step back. So, for example, the first scene where the first time he's locked in, and he's kind of like breaking that lock, and he goes to the kitchen and gets stuff out and goes back out and comes back in and goes back out. It's all one take, right? It's all one take because I've kind of like let the actor be, and the medium allows you to do that. A lot of it is kind of like just let it be, let it roll. He can do what he wants, and you can eventually kind of like, you know, go and shoot a huge master take for 8 minutes, 10 minutes, and then pick up little bits that you say, okay, I need this close up and I need that close up and that kind of stuff. A lot of this process was basically about letting Raj do pretty much, you know, stuff. We've actually gone and done 8-minute takes, 10-minute takes where he's doing stuff and we're just following him, and then kind of like on the spot saying, okay, let's shoot this in close up, let's shoot that in close up. and do that. So yeah, it wasn't. We rehearsed nothing actually. We just a lot of it is about. It wasn't actually even about kind of like knowing what's going to happen once he gets locked. It's this fact that here's the character. This is Shaurya. Shaurya is scared of rats. He's a really quiet guy, works at this travel agency, loves this girl, and that's pretty much it. You know, like so. Once we get, because we didn't want to sort of telegraph what's gonna happen once he gets locked inside. We didn't want to rehearse any of that. It was more about this is the guy. Now he's getting locked. Now what's he gonna do? So we had the beats in the screenplay, but a lot of it, in terms of the way he was gonna perform it, was all just spontaneous.
Thank you very much.
First of all, the film was superb, okay, and I love the editing. So my question is, how much creative liberty does an editor get, and how does the director-editor relationship work as such?
It's you can ask the editor right there. He's standing. It's I'm really anal with my editors, so you have to. I mean, I can be hell for them. So yeah, it's fun. Let's put it that way.
Hi, congratulations on the movie and to like completely stress us out throughout it. Like I feel like we don't appreciate water anymore. Like we really need to go home and drink a lot of water today. So my question is, like it was very subtle, but like did you do that on purpose, like calling it Swarg Apartments? Like I saw that and I was just like, no, you cannot call this building that. So was that on purpose?
That was in the script, no? Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, we just left
Very
it there.
subtle. Yeah, thanks.
So subtle.
Like wow.
Hi. In terms of the screenplay, there's three things that I'm sure the audience picked up. Is one, there was a lack of closure in the hospital, and Raj didn't struggle with suicidal thoughts or boredom. So, can you talk a little bit about those components?
That he didn't struggle with suicidal thoughts?
Yeah, there wasn't so much of a focus on, the rumination that goes with it or frantic mania. It was more in keeping with what you said, tense and action focused. So can you talk about how you developed the style for that, and along with the lack of closure in the hospital?
We shot like suicidal stuff, and I kind of felt it was a bit overstated when I put it in the edit, and I felt that okay, this is getting to be a little it's kind of typical. It was feeling that, and there's that little side window that he actually sort of like throws, that he kicks out, the grill that he kicks out, and we did shoot a scene where he's kind of like looking all the way down. There's a whole contemplation of whether he should just kind of like literally just jump out and just end it all, and I just felt it was a little obvious to kind of do something like that, and I didn't want to go down that route. I think that slightly suicidal kind of feel comes in at the moment where he's drinking the water and he's kind of like feeling that nothing much is going to happen. In terms of the ending, we actually literally, I'm not kidding, we had about 5 or 6 different endings that we were kind of playing with, and because we were improvising so much along the way, one of the more surreal sort of endings was him actually, the guy who's on TV, Patrick, the Aussie kind of the wildlife guy, who actually starts talking to him in that restaurant when he's actually eating the pav bhaji, and you kind of like have this surreal ending when he actually goes into the television and becomes a part of that and becomes an adventurer and kind of like goes away. And I think just kind of finding the balance for me in terms of, you feel there wasn't enough closure or there's too much closure? More closure? Yeah, no, right in the beginning we knew that she's going to go away. I mean, that was something that we were quite... But whether he was going to go look, whether she's going to come to the hospital, whether he was going to go look for her, whether he's going to go look for the other girl, we had multiple sort of endings, but we kind of like... I love films with this whole sort of bittersweet, kind of like some closure, but not so much closure. So yeah, I think this was... I mean, for me, it hit the spot, and I know some people have said that the film for them ends pretty much when he leaves he comes down and his pants fall off, and that's the end of the film. And fair enough. I mean, that's an end as well. I just feel that this was the kind of end that I was going for.
I really love the sound design of the film. So same question about the editor. What is your relationship with that? And how much, yeah. So,
Anish John.
Anish John is somewhere in the... So anyway, Anish John, he's right there. and Alokananda, actually,
Get up,
the
Anish.
music director.
Get up,
who is
Aloka.
just-
Yes.
They're both unbelievable technicians. Yeah, no, I've actually been, I've been a sound designer myself. I've actually worked in sound a lot. So Anish is kind of putting his gun to his head right now, saying, yeah, he wants to shoot himself. There's a lot that's not, so much credit is not given to sound design and music. I mean, it's an audio-visual medium, and we spend so much time on the visual and not on the audio. Absolutely. I think that's really sad. Because really, sound design and music can add so much to the experience of watching a film. So much, and we really don't give it enough credit. And hats off to both these guys, man. They've been very patient with me and taken all my bullshit.
There's one there.
And there's one here also.
Hello. Yeah, sir. I have one question. I mean, trap, but there is no, timeline for there is one night, then day. I mean, trapped for how long? How long? That person was trapped. Like in 127 hours. That boy was trapped for 120
It's
hours. I was like, how long? He was survived, or that was my question. During in story,
More than 127 hours for sure.
Yeah.
We've
I think
presumed about 3 weeks, give or take. The original script, I think, was calling for 3 months.
Yeah, because during story, you have. Okay. Thank you, sir.
That's Dibakar Banerjee. You can meet him later. He'll tell you exactly what does that mean. I love you, sir.
Hi.
Hi.
My question is finally when he opens the door of that flat, so that is a very defining moment, It's like, so you have shot that in a very normal way. He's just running and it could have been shot in a very dramatic or a special way because it is the final defining moment. So were you in two minds, how to go about this shot now? He's finally getting through or something?
While shooting was one of two. There was two things that I knew that I wanted to do. I wanted to keep it more as a surprise than anything else. You're kind of you're a little distant, and yeah, I could have cut to the close up, but I didn't want to do that. I thought following him there and having that, seeing the entire body of him, not just his face, but the whole body of him, kind of opening that door. But I also feel a lot of that I was actually depending on those guys, the sound people and the music people, to kind of have that moment, enhanced by sound, not so much by the visual kind of thing. I think, and this film, yes, I have gone into a space where, you cut to a close-up when you need it, and you cut to a certain thing when you need it. But this one, I think this film, more than any of the stuff I've done before, I think I wanted to kind of keep it more about just following the actor, and I feel that that's the route that me and Siddharth wanted to kind of take on this one. So we kept it that way. Pretty much. Plus, we had no time to shoot anything.
Also, did Rajkummar had any inputs on that final scene when he opens up the door? Were you thinking that maybe I should
The door of the other flat when I climbed down?
Yeah.
I think it was very organic. Probably when you're really into it, and the pause that I took there before opening that knob, that was something which just came in that moment, and it became suddenly. I think everybody loved it. So I didn't actually plan it. As he said, it was very organic. The whole thing was we were just kind of improvising and following Shaurya's journey. So that just happened.
The first take, though, the door didn't open.
Yeah, the first take door didn't open.
Actually, kind of.
And on the contrary, when we were shooting the earlier flat where he's supposed to be stuck, door just opened.
On the first take.
Hi. First of all, hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I just love the film, how it was made. Especially the first shot when the title comes in, when Noori says, "Ki meri shaadi hone wali hai," or
Trapped.
Title comes trapped, and I was like, "Fuck, wow, nice." So I just loved it, and especially the relationship which was growing between Rat and Raj's character throughout the film. It was like पहले उसको catch किया and उसके बाद उसको जाने दिया, just go, जा. So that was and in the end. Even when you're in the apartment and I was like, fuck, ab mat phasiyo, and now I'll never forget to carry my power bank wherever I go. So I just loved it.
This film is sponsored by Power Banks Company.
This film should be sponsored by MTNL. Dude, get landlines. Seriously. That was the one thing that will save him. If he had a landline, it would have saved him.
Hi. Yeah.
Hi.
Sorry. So my question is actually for Raj. I mean, of course, the screenplay is great and everything that we've spoken about, but of course, the film rests on your character. And what have you now taken away from this experience? Like, I mean, one funny thing is obviously, like, I'm sure you check the doors whether they open or lock, but what has stayed with you after, you know, this entire experience and watching it and feeling it?
Yeah, I think subconsciously I always think about that. Like the other day, my friend was telling me that he was taking sauna after watching the trailer, and he saw the film, and then he thought, what if he gets trapped? So he actually took sauna, keeping the door lid open. So I think somewhere it's affecting people's mind, which is, I don't know, good or bad. But what I took is, as I said earlier, I think the whole experience was just so fascinating for me as an actor. Very rarely it happens that you get to, play such parts, and that too with a director like him. I think it was just a very overwhelming experience for me.
Thanks.
Well done. Questions? Any more questions?
My question is that you showed that you tell that flat is a character and the city is a character. So you were trying to show the Mumbai's character, that it was some metaphor was there that is there any metaphor that Mumbai is like this, or you can be trapped in anything, in ambition and dreams, or was it just simple story? Were you thinking something like that?
No, nothing. I don't think there's any deeper meaning into the story. I think what kind of connected with me was it's not like saying, oh my God, it's such a cold place, no one looks at him. I mean, it was not that. It was more the situation that he's kind of like stuck in. You do see, yes, people they can't hear, or, you know, that kind of stuff. But there is a good Samaritan who's trying to maybe get to him. I just thought it was a really interesting film for the here and now of Bombay, as we kind of like know it, in the sense of this period in our city is not going to come. It wasn't here 10 years ago, and it's not going to be here 10 years later, right? Because 10 years ago we didn't have the high rises, and 10 years later they'll all be filled up with people. Maybe, I don't know. But it's just this weird kind of like space right now where this construction's happening, and you've got all these like buildings, which are, some of them have, and there's so many of them in that area which actually don't have OCs, and they've got these legal cases going on. Literally the building we shot in was exactly that. We actually walked in there, and this building's been up there for maybe about 7-8 years, and now finally somebody's moved into that apartment, but it was just lying around. It just felt like a very here and now kind of scenario, you know. But no, I wasn't trying to make a statement about the city.
Because that girl which got that help sign, and she came, but she didn't cross her limit because she didn't took.
Because how do you know what to believe in anymore? You know what I mean? For me, that's the way I always saw her characters. Like, how do you know what to believe? It's like it could be a bunch of kids playing a prank. Watchman ne bol diya ki koi nahi rehta hai yahan pe. So you're gonna follow your own humanity to a certain point, and after time, you know, then you'll just say, yeah, I'll just walk away. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
Andrew has a question back there.
Hi, great film. Thank you very much for this. Okay. Should I go ahead? Sorry. Okay. When we're looking at this rat scene, and that scene actually reminded us of Castaway, Tom Hanks speaking to the volleyball. And looking at the rat scene, when the rat was walking away and it looked back, it reminded us of Life of Pi, when the tiger is walking away. Was it subconsciously intentional, or, you know, did you get inspired from there?
That was just great acting by Rat, trust me.
It wasn't
It
CG.
just happened.
It was not CG, dude. Seriously.
I swear, I think he was such a real, natural co-actor that I think I've ever had.
I just realized someone told me actually today that we didn't credit the rat. It was like
we should have
an oversight on our side.
You never know, he might be like nominated.
No, the part when he turns around was we were joking on set that Life of Pi moment is gonna come, the rat's gonna turn around and watch. We never thought it was gonna actually happen. You know, we actually thought, okay, rat's gonna whatever. We put some food there and it'll walk over there very slowly. Actually turned around, actually looked, actually went. It was like wow. So yeah, we got a Life of Pi moment.
Super, great casting.
Yeah, great casting. Prashant Singh ko bolo.
Yeah.
Just want to talk about the music, actually. Yeah, Aloka's score is fantastic.
She's right in front of you.
Very good. Films in this city is inherently full of music, and obviously with this, there's very little. how much was that a preconceived thing that you wanted to have that space? Because it wouldn't, I don't think it would have worked with too much music there.
I think Aloka and me kind of worked on, and what we did was we worked on specific emotions and then worked on the music for those. So the beginning, before he moves into the flat, there's love, which is a generic kind of like, so there's a love theme which comes back when the rain falls, which comes back at the end when he's back in the hospital. So there's a sense of every time he's got like, he's happy or the love happens, there's that. So there was love, there was fear, and then there was, I don't know the word for it, but it was more about like being stuck. And there's a whole monotonous kind of like the trapped, yeah, literally. Yeah, thanks.
But I think it was quite subtle, which was really good, and it let you act, it let you be your part, and to fill that space there. I think
I was actually playing with the idea of actually having even lesser music, in the sense that there was a I think from the time Anish and me sort of like played with the idea in the mix of like, if once he gets stuck till literally the time when the rain falls, we actually don't have any music at all. Then I just got scared.
No, but I think it worked. There's a film I saw recently. Mia Hansen loves Things to Come. I think 46 minutes before the first piece of music, but you don't miss it. And that's me being a composer saying that. You know, I think space is so important.
No, there's lots of amazing European films, French films especially. I mean, the French for some reason hate music. I don't know why. But so many of them just refuse, and their films work. And the sense of, and that's the purity of a director, the actors, the editor, and everybody kind of putting together, and the sound designer putting together a really, really tight film without having to resort to music. But I like music, and I just feel that it really helps.
No, but it worked very well on all sides.
It works. All hats off to Aloka.
Great. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Kanu.
Thank you, Kanu.
For seeing it a second time. Much appreciated. Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, guys.